Hello everyone, welcome to Decision Dispatch, a channel where we discuss how the top 1% uses data to come up with the decisions that bring in millions. My name is Sergii, and for more than 10 years now, I've been using data in my professional life, in the Fortune 500 company, as well as in multiple startups to drive decisions, to come up with new ideas, and simply have fun. So maybe you've been wondering how some people look at the data or a graph or a trend and they come up with innovative idea, a business concept, or simply an improvement initiative that eventually brings millions or billions, or just like in case of Amazon, trillions, while others just look at the same piece of data and go like, interesting, and move on without doing much. Well, that's what we are trying to break down here. But first, let's go back into 1994, where Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, looked at the number on his screen, and the number was 2,400%. And that number represented the growth rate of the internet usage at that time. He was not the only person who saw that number that day. A lot of other people did. But only he saw a future of retail while looking at this number. The secret? He could read between the lines, while other people just take the numbers they see at face value. I personally believe that being good with data has more to do with a good copywriting than it has to do with data science. If we look at the best copywriting examples out there, for example, let's take Apple's iPod ad, which said famously 1,000 songs in your pocket. It didn't say 5 gigabytes in your pocket, because they took a piece of data, they thought what they can do with this data and what does it actually mean for their consumer, and they converted it into the very relatable message. And that's what most of the business people should do. I believe that we've been brainwashed over the last couple of years into the data-driven mindset. You need to be data-driven. What data did you use for this? And as a result, for a lot of people, being data-driven means just ticking up the box and including a slide or a table in their presentation just to say, yeah, we are data-driven. We had lots of data in our presentation or in our analysis. It's not enough to just have the data. You actually need to do something with it. But at the same time, the data is not properly used as a result of it. I have quite a beef with the whole data-driven concept. If all our decisions are data-driven, then why data, as you can see on the graph here, increased almost tenfold over the last 10 years, and it almost doubled over the last 3 years? So the question to you, did your decisions improve at the same rate? I doubt. In my case, they didn't. So what this whole thing with the data-driven decisions, if with a bigger amount of data, we didn't come up with better decisions yet? I believe that a much better approach is not being data-driven, but actually being decision-centric. We need to remember the aim we are trying to achieve with our decisions and then look at the data to either support it or enhance it. This brings us to the question, what do we need to do to actually be as good with data as the top 1%? People like Bezos, Jobs. And the mental model that I want to apply here comes from the copywriting book called Hey Whipple's Quiz This. And the author has a perfect framework for copywriting there. In order to come up with the creative ideas, don't wait for inspiration to strike you, because usually the inspiration comes in the process. And in order to go through this process, you need to first say it straight and then say it great. And it takes 3 steps. Step number 1, say it straight. Simply state what you see in front of you. Jeff Bezos just saw the number 2,400%. He didn't rush into creating the business plan that day. He simply tried to understand, okay, what does it mean? What does this number represent? What exactly is the internet usage? Is it by people, by machines, or whatever? Dive into the number. Or the team at Apple and Steve Jobs, they didn't rush into promoting the 5 GB iPod. They really try to understand what this number encapsulates for people. So ask yourself, what exactly are you looking at? What is the actual number? What is being measured? Step number 2, notice the patterns. That's where you need to start to work with the data a bit. Look at the trend. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it flat? Or is it just a one-time spike like we have with a lot of data from the COVID-19? A lot of things went up and then abruptly went down. You can imagine Bezos looking at the number, and it was not just one-off, it was consistently growing over time. So ask yourself, is this change consistent or random? Where is it coming from? Is there any event that is driving it? What is the pace telling you? Step number 3, the most important, however, only if you did the first 2 steps correctly. What's not on the graph? You see, graph or data or whatever you're looking at shows only part of the picture. We live in the very complex world. Lots of other trends can impact whatever you're trying to do or analyze. In case of Bezos, what was not on the graph was how much people were frustrated with the offline shopping, the inconvenience of the logistics when it's related to buying stuff offline, the convenience of the digital. So only Bezos could connect it in his head because probably he observed some other trends, or maybe had a very frustrating experience in the bookstore that morning that led him to think about combining these 2 trends and then presenting it as a business opportunity. So this step is where the real talent of the best copywriters or business visionaries or you come into play. How can you connect the trends that you don't see on the graph, the business environment you're operating in, into the data you're analyzing and presenting? So you see, it goes really beyond just data driven. It goes directly into decision centric. What are we trying to achieve? Because data never really driven any decision. People did. But you might say, hey Sergei, but this introduces so much bias into the process. Aren't we supposed to be unbiased? And my answer is no. We are not scientists here. We are not biomedical engineers doing scientific research. If you do, I'm really surprised you're on this channel. Please drop in the comments what brought you here. We are operating in a highly complex business environment that has so many influences from external stakeholders that it's really hard to boil things down to one piece of graph or one piece of information. So it's always contextual, and that's exactly where your unique contribution comes into play. You have to look at the data and connect it with the current market trends, with the business environment in your region, with some dynamics that your company is going through internally or externally, and with your vision for the future in case you were talking about the new business ventures. And that's how people like Bezos come up with these ideas, by looking at the data. You see, in the current environment, there's no secrets left anymore. Data is available to everyone. Even if you use the paid subscriptions, it would be available to your competitors most likely. Tools are also available for everyone. Everyone has Excel, everyone has ChatGPT. That's not really unique anymore. That doesn't give you competitive edge. That's the level playing field. Your unique contribution is really with your ability to connect the dots between what you see in front of you and what you don't see in front of you. And I will end it with a few words about AI. Again, AI is just another tool. And yes, it can give you amazing answers. You can dump a giant file and ask the tool for a trend or for the latest activity report and so on. But it's still you who are asking the questions. It is you who then bring those questions together, and it's your ability to connect the dots that still matters and will help us to win the battle against the machines. I'm kidding, but don't forget that your unique contribution is still valuable, and keep contributing. So first understand the data, then connect the dots. And then your ability to use and communicate this data will come naturally as a result of it. Thank you.